Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Good afternoon. We're ready to start the Iowa Beef Expo show for the 47th Annual Red Angus Classic. Judging the show today is Riley Rubel from Albert Lee, Minnesota. Riley is a graduate of South Dakota State with a major in animal science. His family raises Angus and Simmental cattle. Riley works as a full-time cattle buyer for American Food Groups. Let's give Riley a welcome today. Entering the ring is Lot 45, exhibited by TLC Livestock Services out of Rushfield, Minnesota. She's a May 1st of 22 heifer.
Test. Real nice single entry heifer to start the Red Angus show. I think one that, it's really hard to put a hole in this Lot 45 heifer. Very feminine, good in her chest floor. I think you study her structure and her angles. Very angular. I like the slope to her shoulder and the set to her knee. And then you put her in motion. She reads true to it when she put her in motion. Built square at the ground and operates with a lot of flex and reach and functionality. So it'd be nice to see this single entry compared to some of these other heifers once we get her back in the lineup, but very, very nice heifer to start the show.
Winner of the single entry class, Lot 45, TLC Kirsta 226K, exhibited by TLC Livestock Services. Entering the ring, Class 2, Lot 8, CBCB Lady 334K, CB2 Cattle Company out of Brooklyn, Iowa. Lot 46, K105 Ulra, Stella, exhibited by Ulrich Red Angus, Good Thunder, Minnesota. Lot 20, JTVM Kinley, 236K, exhibited by JVM Cattle of Pella, Iowa. Lot 50, Evra Penny, K161, exhibited by Vinton Red Angus of Indianola, Iowa. These are all April-born heifers of 2022.
Another nice class of reds here. You know, I think the dark cherry red one, that's a fresh-haired kind of heifer that wins that class, you know, just really comes together when he gets her stuck. One that I think is extremely rugged in her foot and bone work. I think you get in behind the cattle, I think she's just a little bit more genuine in the way she's built on all four corners. I think she's just built with a little bit more width to her relative to the cattle behind her. But love the kind of cattle she represents, just kind of a moderate, low input kind of looking heifer that's good in her kind and her condition. I think maintains her top and levelness down her top, good in motion. Just like how rugged she is and the extra foot and bone size that she offers. Heifer in second, you know, kind of a different kind of heifer in terms of her femininity, just a nickel more extended ahead of her shoulder blade. One that I think when you put the cattle in motion, I actually probably prefer this heifer. I think she stays within herself a little bit better. Love the angles that she has. She's extremely comfortable in the way she operates her hock and pastern. Just like to see her just handle the halter a little bit better. But two heifers that I think are very, very good in terms of their quality. And then the heifers that round out the class, you know, they're in no particular order. But two cattle that definitely practical in their own kind. I think they just work down a little bit in terms of being a little further behind their maturity compared to the cattle ahead of him, but still sound, practical, functional cattle that are going to make awesome replacements for somebody.
Placings for Class 2, Lot 8, exhibited by CB2 Cattle Company of Brooklyn, Iowa. Placing second, Ulra Stella 105, exhibited by Ulrich Red Angus of Good Thunder, Minnesota, Lot 46. Entering the ring is Class 3, JTVM Karma 235K, exhibited by JVM Cattle of Pella, Iowa, March 30th of 22, date of birth. Lot 10, GNRA Miss Reckoning 237, exhibited by Griffin Red Angus of New Hampton, Iowa, with a March 28 of 22 date of birth. Lot 6, DKBF 13, Ken's Keeper, exhibited by Brown's Family Cattle out of Lamoni, Iowa, with a March 22nd of 22 date of birth. And Lot 5, Barn Kimmy K 25K, March 22nd of 22, exhibited by Barnes Family Cattle of Lamoni, Iowa.
Test. All right, another nice class of heifers. The two cattle on the top end of this class, I don't think they could be any more different in their type and kind. So I think from a buyer's perspective, there's a couple different ways you can go. Two cattle of the same breed that have differences, but both have a lot of quality to them. I guess for me, the heifer that wins that class, I think on the profile, she's just a little bit more balanced from her look from the side. I think if you tuck that chest up in her, just a nickel more, it'd be really good. But I like her femininity and the shape of her head and her poll and her jaw. Very maternal from that standpoint. I think she blends that shoulder in smooth into her forerib, like her body shape from the side. You can maybe make her a bit more bulky when you get in behind the cattle, like our heifer in second. But one from the side, like how level she is out of her hip. Really like how flexible she is in that hock and passer, and plants on a nice big square foot. Heifer in second, kind of a bigger frame, higher performing one that's definitely more dimensional in her muscle pattern. I also read that one to be just a little bit heavier structured. I think if you look at her lower structure, she's definitely got more substance in her foot and bone work. Have a lot of breeding value from that standpoint. Gotta love cattle with power and muscle. Just relative to her frame size and that heifer in front of her, just maybe like to give her a shot more sweep to her belly. I know she's probably not used to being off the farm, and that can affect it, but one that's still good in her balance. Just two subtle differences. I prefer the heifer that wins that class. Then the cattle that round out towards the bottom here, like I said, no particular order, but two cattle, they pair up pretty good relative to the cattle ahead of them. Both are low input kind of cows, a little bit more moderate in their kind, and I can definitely get behind it and definitely stand behind the cattle that they represent in terms of their moderation and their easy doing fleshing ability, because they are two of the easier doing heifers in the class, and probably a little quicker in their maturity, but definitely two cattle, bold, opened up in their entire skeleton, just work their way down there in terms of their few things from an aesthetically pleasing standpoint, the way they handle themselves in motion. But two really good cattle, top and bottom, nice class of heifers.
Placings out of Class 3. First, JTVM Karma, 235K, Lot 22, exhibited by JVM Cattle, Appella, Iowa. And second, GRNA Miss Reckoning, exhibited by Griffin Red Angus of New Hampton, Iowa, Lot 10. Entering the ring is Class 4. Lot 4, Bar U Rubella, 235, March 16 of 22, exhibited by Bar U Ranch of Cottonwood Falls, Kansas. Lot 53, Wangan Pathy, 225K, March 4th of 22, exhibited by Wangan Cattle Company of Ellendale, Minnesota. Lot 44, TJC, 920K Kinley, 229K, March 1st of 22, exhibited by Tim Johnson Cattle of Bellevue, Iowa. Lot 49, Evra Miss Lass, K162, March 1st of 22, exhibited by Vinton Red Angus of Indianola, Iowa. And Lot 44, Lily, March 1st of 22, exhibited by Squaw Creek Farm of New Virginia, Iowa.
Test, test. Another nice class of reds. I think the heifers on the top end of this class have some similarities. Really like the heifer that wins the class. I think just kind of checks all the boxes in terms of practicality, being functional, good in her structure, having enough width and substance of bone. Then on the top, on the top of that, you get these cattle stuck on the profile, and I think just squares up really nice and comes together really good. I think if you study her from the ground up, like the shape of her hoof and the spread of her toe up front, I think she plants them both square. I think she's built square and flexible in her lower structure and just handles it good in motion and really maintains that levelness down her top. I think she's very balanced in her shoulder and her chest, and just, the symmetry of her front end really picks that head up and has a cool posture and a good look to her. Really nice red Angus heifer to win that class. Heifer in second, probably comes with a little more punch. Getting behind the cattle, and she's definitely got a little more dimension up high, and then carries that width and dimension down to the lower portion of her stifle and the lower portion of her rib cage. Probably not quite as maternal in the way she reads back in that rib cage, but wanting to fight the halter a little bit still. But overall, one that I think that has as much as width and muscle as she has, she still handles it extremely good in motion. And then the cattle, the rest of the calves in this class, you guys can filter on out. No particular order, but the young man in the blue shirt, your heifer, very low input, easy doing kind of cow. One that I think is going to make a long-lasting replacement for whoever ends up buying her. Just maybe like to soften her up back into her flank. And then the lighter cherry red one in the second hole coming out here. One that's heavy structured. I think she handles it good in motion. Definitely like how big she is at the ground and the way she handles it. Just like to maybe bulk her up in terms of her center body and add a little more mass from that standpoint. And then the young man's dark red one wanting to round out the class, one that's still flexible in her kind, functional, good cattle, one that I think still pairs up good to the cattle ahead of her. Just a few things like the tweaker and the way she handles her top, but overall, three heifers that round out that class that are very good and high in quality.
Class 4 winner, Wangan Pathy, 225K, Lot 53, exhibited by Wangan Cattle Company of Ellendale, Minnesota. Reserve, TJC 920G Kinley, 229K, Lot 44, exhibited by Tim Johnson Cattle Company of Bellevue, Iowa. Entering the ring, we have Class 5, Lot 30, Lexus 225, February 25th to 22, date of birth, exhibited by Jackson Clinker of Winnebago, Minnesota. Lot 38, SHR Amy 223, 223 of 22, date of birth, exhibited by Shady Hill Red Angus of Blue Earth, Minnesota. Lot 41, Polly, February 10th of 22, exhibited by Squaw Creek Farms of New Virginia, Iowa. And finalizing that class is Lot 27, KBCC Flora 102K, February 1st of 22, exhibited by Cabela Brothers of West Branch, Iowa.
Test. Pretty stout pair of red Angus heifers to start this class off. You know, I think the difference in these cattle, I think one's just a little bit sweeter in terms of her front end, a little bit smoother in her shoulder, and reads back a little bit better and leveler down her top when she handles that in motion. Wants to fight it a little bit, but when she does relax and just walk, I think she strides pretty good in her lower structure. My only critique, I'd like to maybe square her up in her hock from behind, but past that, that's a bold, stout, dimensional red Angus heifer that has some breeding value from that standpoint. Heifer in second, you know, kind of the same speed in terms of her width and muscle. Very dimensional in the upper rib shape she has, and carries that well and down into her lower stifle, but in a maternal fashion way. Probably just a nickel bigger frame, just like to maybe sweeten her up in her front end. And then the two calves that round out the class, young man up there with the coarser haired one. Obviously the furthest behind in terms of her size and maturity. Definitely not a bad thing having a later maturing cow, but one that I think just needs to soften her up back in her flank and maybe give her a shot more balance, but one that's long spine and level, definitely practical in the way she moves. And then the red one that rounds out the class, a little fresher in her kind, longer in her spine, and just handles that shoulder just a nickel better than the heifer ahead of her, but overall I just like to maybe knock that tail head down, operate a little smoother out of that hock and pull her rear flank down to add a little balance, but still cattle top to bottom that have quality and value from a breeding standpoint.
Placings for Class 5, KBCC Flora 102K, Lot 27, exhibited by Cabela Brothers Cattle of West Branch. Lot 41, Polly, exhibited by Squaw Creek Farms of New Virginia, Iowa. Entering the ring, we will choose the Champion Open Heifer and the Reserve Champion Open Heifer. Entering the ring from Class 1, scratch that, Class 6. Entering the ring is Lot 35, Nolan's Maisie, exhibited by Nolan Red Angus of Monroe, Iowa, January 12 of 22. Lot 14, Class 6, HCC Lakota 210, January 9 of 22, exhibited by Hine Cattle Company of Osage, Iowa. After this selection, we will move on to the Champion Open Heifer and the Reserve Champion Open Heifer.
Nice pair of older red Angus heifers. I think the one that I think I just land on the most is in every category is this heifer that wins the class. You know, just to be a little picky, you could probably clean her up in her crest and definitely add some tail. That wouldn't hurt anything. But from that standpoint, very powerfully constructed red Angus heifer. One that's just, I would probably say above the breed average for in terms of her width and muscle that she has. Still handles it good in motion. You know, I think the set to her hock and ankle's good. Just like to add a little tail and maybe set some angle into that shoulder. But overall, I think she still handles it good for how much width and dimension she has. A very powerful heifer to win that class. Heifer in second, you know, once fight the halter, kind of hard to get a good look at her. Maybe knock that tail head down, but probably definitely more feminine about her head and neck and just a little more refined from that standpoint. Probably smoother in her joint work and still handles it good. One that's dimensional in her body shape. Just like to make her a shot more sweepy relative to the heifer in front of her to compete. But two really nice red Angus heifers there.
Placings for Class 6. First to HCC Lakota, Lot 14 to 10K, exhibited by Hein Cattle Company. Second, Nolan's Maisie K4, exhibited by Nolan Red Angus of Monroe, Iowa, Lot 35. Entering the ring now, we have our champion open heifer and selecting our champion reserve open heifer. From Class 1, we have TLC Kirsta 226, May 1st of 22 birth date, Lot 45, exhibited by TLC Livestock Services out of Rushfield, Minnesota. Lot 8, CB Lady 334K, April 18th of 22, exhibited by CB2 Cattle Company of Brooklyn, Iowa. Out of Class 3, Lot 22, JTVM Karma 235K, March 30th of 22, birth date, exhibited by JVM Cattle of Pella, Iowa. Class 4, Lot 53, Wangan Pathy 225K, with a March 4th of 22 date of birth, exhibited by Wangan Cattle Company of Ellendale, Minnesota. Out of Class 5, we have Lot 27, KBCC Flora 102K, exhibited by Cabela Brothers Cattle of West Branch, with a February 1st of 22 date of birth. And finalizing is Class 6, Lot 14, HCC Lakota 210K, with a January 9 of 22 date of birth, exhibited by Hein Cattle Company of Osage, Iowa.
All right, nice lineup of open heifers out here. You know, I'm not going to break them all down top to bottom, but I think you know, if you're out on the ringside and you're looking to buy one of these heifers, I would definitely bid with confidence. I think just from top to bottom, you know, might not be just a bunch of huge producers, but cattle that are definitely coming from operations where they're taking their top cut here, and they're definitely offering you their best. And so, you know, there's a few out here that I really like. We're going to pick 2 of these open heifers, and then we'll take another look at the other heifers and pick our overall later. But congrats to all you consigners. Hope you find some good homes for these heifers. Very good quality cattle. Congratulations.
Your champion open heifer was exhibited by Wangan Cattle Company of Ellendale, Minnesota, lot 53. The reserve open champion heifer went to lot 45, TLC Kirsta 2256, exhibited by TLC Livestock Services of Rushfield, Minnesota. Entering the ring, we have Class 7. This will also be your fall champion heifer and reserve champion fall heifer. Lot 13, exhibited by Hein Cattle Company of Osage, Iowa, with HCC Morogiti 184J, December 29th of 21 date of birth. And lot 19, JTVM Jewel 191J, October 7 of 21, exhibited by JVM Cattle of Pella, Iowa. Again, this will be our champion fall heifer and reserve champion fall heifer.
Nice pair of older heifers here in this entry class, and you know, I think the dark red one just kind of fits the bill a little bit better for me. Love her length of spine and just how long she is from her blade to her hip. To be picky, I'd maybe like to tuck that chest up into her, and if that were the case, I'd maybe just take an inch of that bark off. But past that, one that I think is really good in her kind, very easy fleshing kind of heifer, one that I think just plants and pushes off a very powerful hip and hind leg. Good in her kind, like I said, just like to maybe tone her back in her condition, but overall a very, very good breeding heifer. And the one in second, the lighter red one, maybe like to just tie her together in just a little more ladylike fashion in terms of her shoulder, but past that, that's one that's opened up through her entire skeleton. Coming at you, she's more genuine in her chest floor and opened up from that standpoint, and just that kind of just tells the story from their back. She's bigger over her back, she's bigger in her pin set, she's more dimensional in her muscle set. Just like to tie it all together, just a nickel smoother, but overall two really nice heifers in that class.
Your champion fall heifer was exhibited by JVM Cattle of Pella, Iowa. Lot 19, JTVM Jewel, 191J. Reserve went to Hind Cattle Company of Osage, Iowa. Lot 13, HCC Morrow GT, 184J. Entering the ring, we have Class 8. Lot 3, Baru Gusty, 126, 9/16 of 21 date of birth, exhibited by Bar U Ranch, Cotton Falls, Kansas. This is a single entry.
Real nice single entry from that young man there on the halter. Nice fresh-haired heifer. Like the frame and size and stretch she has. Maybe like to pick her head up, just rock everything back in her front end. But past that, good and honest in her condition. I definitely appreciate that about her being at her reproductive age that she's at. But one that you can't complain about her structure. She's got a big set of feet and legs on her. Handles them well. Just soften her up back in her flank, add a little more body. But past that, that's one that's built square. Got some growth and performance and stretch to her, so real nice single entry.
Class 8 was a single class entry. Lot 3, Bar U Gusty, 126, exhibited by Bar U Ranch out of Cotton Falls, Kansas. Entering the ring, we have Class 9, Lot 37, Nolan Sage, J121, June 7 of 21 birth date, exhibited by Nolan Red Angus of Monroe, Iowa. Lot 54, A. Webb Sassy, March 24th of 21 date of birth, exhibited by Tim and Kathy Weber of Springville, Iowa. And Lot 55, A. Webb Direct Hit, April 29 of 21, exhibited again by Tim and Kathy Weber of Springville, Iowa. This is Class 9 in the ring.
real nice class of older heifers. You know, I think the two cattle that I work here towards the top of the class are very similar in their type and kind. Both are just hit you with that good brood cow look from the side, very broody in their center body, very easy doing in their kind and their look. I think for me, the one that I used to win the class, I think she's just a nickel taller fronted, a little bit better in the way she's built in that neck and shoulder conjunction, a little neater through her chest floor and like her balance. You know, I think put the cattle in motion, you could flip a coin, and they're both pretty good. And for how much mass and size they have, they handle it pretty good in motion. You know, I think the heifer in second, she's probably just a nickel more feminine and prefer her head shape and her jaw and her poll and just the way that reads from a femininity standpoint. She too is heavy structured and handles it good in motion. Probably not as dimensional in the way she ties that muscle into the base of her stifle relative to the heifer that wins the class, but one that's good in her body shape, good in her balance. Two really nice heifers that start that class. And the young lady's heifer that rounds out the class, probably the furthest behind in terms of her maturity, but overall I think that's a long spine, level made one. Just need to add a little bit more belly and softness in her rib cage there to compete with those two big brood cows on the top end of that class.
Results of Class 9, Lot 55, A-Web Direct Hit. Exhibited by Tim and Kathy Weber of Springville, Iowa. And Lot 54, A-Web Sassy. Exhibited by Tim and Kathy Weber of Springville, Iowa. In the ring now is Class 10, Lot number 9, GNRA Ione 101 with a January 21 of 21 date of birth, exhibited by Griffin Red Angus out of New Hampton, Iowa.
No doubt. I think this one probably wants to be at home more than she wants to be here, but one that a big broody kind of cow, one that you definitely can appreciate the kind of muscle and bone work that she's got. A huge set of feet and legs on her. I really appreciate her at the ground, though. I mean, you study her foot structure, plants on a lot of heel, and she's got a big hoof circumference on her that's very square and attractive in the way she handles it. Just like to see her a little smoother in the way she operates out of her rear structure, soften that spine up, but that's a fresh-haired, big frame, high-performing kind of heifer that's got some dimension and some muscle to her to breed on. So really nice single entry there.
Single entry Class 10, exhibited by Griffin Red Angus, Lot 9, GNRA Ione 101. We are now ready to select our champion bred heifer and reserve champion bred heifer. Entering the ring from Class 8, Lot 3, Bar U Gusty 126, September 16th of 21, exhibited by Bar U Ranch, Cotton Falls, Kansas. Out of Class 9, Lot 55, A-Web Direct Hit, with a April 29th of 21 date of birth, exhibited by Tim and Kathy Weber of Springville, Iowa. And Lot 9, GNRA Ione 101 with a January 21st of 21 date of birth, exhibited by Griffin Red Angus of New Hampton, Iowa. Again, this selection will be your champion bred heifer and reserve champion bred heifer.
Real nice lineup of older heifers here. Just to say a few words. The heifer that is out of that last oldest class. I think one that, like I said in class, very powerful, very dimensional, stands on a big set of square, a good-looking set of feet and legs on her. Just like to see her just move just a little looser, and I'm sure that'd help if she just calmed down a little bit. But when she does calm down and ease up in her spine, she does definitely handle herself better in motion. The heifer out of that second class, one that I think is very, very nice and proportional. I like the posture and the symmetry in her front end. If she'd pick her head up a little bit better and tuck that chest up like she is in that class, I think one that just really comes together when you put her in motion, and then once you get her planted square, I think that heifer has a lot of quality to her. Just really hits you like a brood cow heifer in this class. And the 126 Freeze brand heifer that's on the back end here, one that's just a little flatter in her kind, but one that's definitely smooth and flexible in her joint work, and handles it with a lot of flexibility, a lot of functionality there, and a lot of longevity built into that one's skeleton. Just like to see a little bit more bulkiness into her center rib cage. But I'll take another look, and we'll pick the champion in this division and take a look at the second, and we'll go there and work our way towards the overall heifer. So congratulations to you consigners. I'm going to go ahead and keep those two heifers out of that same class together, just like the brood cow kind of image that she represents for the Red Angus breed. So congratulations.
Your champion bred heifer, coming out of class 9, lot 55, A-Web direct hit, exhibited by Tim and Kathy Weber of Springville, Iowa. Reserve, champion bred heifer, also coming out of class 9, lot 54, A-Web Sassy, exhibited by Tim and Kathy Weber of Springville, Illinois, or Iowa. We're ready to select our overall champion Red Angus heifer and the overall reserve champion Red Angus heifer. Coming out of class 4, our champion open heifer was Wangan Patty. 225K, lot 53, exhibited by Wangan Cattle Company of Ellendale, Minnesota. The reserve champion open heifer, coming out of class 1, TLC Kirsta, 226K, exhibited by TLC Livestock Services of Rushfield, Minnesota. The reserve champion fall heifer, coming out of class 7, lot 19, JTVM Jewel 191J, exhibited by JVM Cattle Company of Pella, Iowa. And also out of class 7, lot 13, HCC Morota Jitty 184J, exhibited by Hine Cattle Company of Osage, Iowa. Coming out of the champion bred heifer, lot 55, A-Web direct hit, exhibited by Tim and Kathy Weber of Springfield, Iowa. And out of class 9, lot 54, A-Web Sassy, exhibited by Tim and Kathy Weber of Springville, Iowa. Again, we will be making our overall champion Red Angus heifer and overall reserve champion Red Angus heifer.
All right, well, everybody ringside, go ahead and put your hands together for these consigners. Awesome lineup of red Angus heifers. If you're a potential buyer, like I said before, bid with confidence. Take a good look here, because there's not a bad one out here that you can't take home and be proud of, and definitely put your operation in a good direction and help you out. So I'm not going to break them all down. I think they're all a good representation of what the red Angus breed has to offer in terms of functionality, having some muscle and look and balance, and just overall doability to them. So top to bottom, oldest to youngest, good cattle. I'm going to take another look here, and we'll pick your champion and reserve overall heifer. So congratulations.
Your overall champion red Angus heifer comes out of Class 4, Lot 53, Wangan Pathy, 225K, exhibited by Wangan Cattle Company of Ellendale, Minnesota. The reserve overall champion red Angus heifer comes out of Class 1, Lot 45, TLC Kirsta, 229K, exhibited by TLC Livestock Services out of Rushfield, Minnesota. Again, let's give a thank you to our judge for today's Red Angus show, Riley Rubel from Albert Lea, Minnesota. Riley is a grad student from South Dakota State, majoring in animal science. He and his family have an Angus Simmental influenced cattle. He is also a full-time cattle buyer for American Food Group. Let's give Riley a hand of applause and thank him for judging our show today. We're ready to begin our bull show for the 47th Red Angus Classic. Entering the ring is Class 11, Lot 25, JTVM Casanova, 280K. Birth date May 12 of 22, exhibited by JVM Cattle of Pella, Iowa.
Nice way to start the Red Angus Bull Show. If you're in the market for a younger May bull calf, take a close look here. I think this one's got a lot of quality to him. I won't knock him on his size. Like I said, he's a May, and so Bull's young and green, and I appreciate his condition on him. Just like the kind of quality that he has, especially in his build. You break him down, I think if in motion, that bull handles himself really good down his top. He's built square in his pin set, and that tail head lays onto his top line right in front of his loin, just perfectly smooth. Bull that's really rugged in his foot and bone work. You can maybe turn those front feet in just a nickel, but past that, I think he's good in his body shape for how green he is. He's honest in the shape that he has. He's got some muscle and width up high. Like to see that bull down the road because I think he could be pretty dang good. So very nice single entry young bull calf there.
Class 11, a single entry, lot 25 to JTVM Casanova 280, exhibited by JVM Cattle of Pella, Iowa. Entering the ring will be class 12, lot 23, JTVM Knight 283K, with an April 13th of 2022 date of birth, exhibited by JVM Cattle Company of Pella, Iowa.
Another nice young April bull calf. I think compared to the bull in the last class, probably just a nickel smoother version of what we saw in the previous class. I think he's maybe a nickel square up front. You could probably square his hock up from behind him, but past that, I think, boom, right there. It just comes together, builds that neck right out of the top side of his shoulder. Shoulder angle's good and lays on smooth and square like his chest, and just the posture and the cockiness he has in his front end and his structure. Handles it really good in motion, very smooth in his joint work. Very, very high quality young bull calf there. Congratulations.
Class 12, lot 23, exhibited by JTVM Knight 283, JVM Cattle of Pella, Iowa, with a single entry. Entering the ring, class 13, lot 24, JTVM Knox 281K, exhibited by JVM Cattle of Pella, Iowa, with a March 29 of 22 birth date. Lot 39, SHR Redbox 242K, March 28 of 22 date of birth, exhibited by Shady Hills Red Angus of Blue Earth, Minnesota. And lot 7, Barn Klein 497K, with a March 16th of 22 date of birth, exhibited by Barnes Family Cattle of Lamoni, Iowa. This is class 13 in the ring.
You can follow her. Nice trio of Red Angus bulls here. I think the one that's just the most different in this class is the one that I got up here on the top end here. I think you study his structure, you study his foot and bone work, and then just put that all in correlation with his condition. And I think that just goes hand in hand with how he's been fed and managed, taken slow, still good in his structure, and you can tell that in the way he moves and handles it at the ground. One that's tall-fronted, good looking from the side. If I could be picky, I'd maybe just power him up a little bit, but like I said, he's skinny and green in his condition, and that's a good thing because he's still progressed in terms of his maturity and testicular development. So really nice young breeding bull. Bull in second definitely has a masculinity advantage. He's stouter in the feature of his head and jaw, and that just kind of tells the story. From there back, he's bigger in his neck and more round out of his shoulder, but past that, I think the bull's got muscle shape. I just like to see him handle a little bit better in his lower structure. Overall, I think that bull still is flexible, handles his top smooth and level down when you put him in motion. And then the big dark red bull that rounds out the class, I think he's got some muscle shape, very aggressive in the turn to his back shape up high. Just like to maybe see him a little bit leveler in the way he handles his top line, but one that's got a lot of breeding value, a lot of turnout value as a big time herd bull breeder down the road. So nice trio of bulls in that class.
Your results from class 13. Lot 24, JTVM Knox, 281K, exhibited by JVM Cattle of Pella, Iowa. And Lot 7, Barn Klein, 497K, exhibited by Barnes Family Cattle of Lamoni, Iowa. Entering the ring, we have class 14, Lot 34, 4EJM Sparky, K18, date of birth March 5 of 22. Exhibited by Emily Meyer of Anamosa, Iowa. Lot 29, Royal Jack, 35K. March 5 of 22, date of birth, exhibited by Jackson Clinker of Winnebago, Minnesota. Lot 33, MSH Cutter, 206K. A March 3rd of 22, date of birth, exhibited by Ryan Mesh Cattle of Eldora, Iowa. And Lot 32, Diesel, with a March 2nd of 22 date of birth, exhibited by Lentz Red Angus of Creston, Iowa. Class 14 in the ring.
kind of some give and take in this top pair of bulls. You know, I think depending on what your flavor is, you could like either of them just as much. But you know, I think of the two cattle, I think they're both similar in terms of their muscle and their shape and their dimension. I think the lighter, fresher haired colored bull that wins the class, I think he just comes together just a nickel better when you put the cattle in motion, and then when you stop him, he's just got a really good look on the profile, really sharp and neat and chiseled about his front end, and still does it in a masculine way, and still has a show ring bull look to him. One that I think just has a lot of quality to him. Maybe refine that hock joint and twist those front two up, but past that, I think that bull's got a lot of quality to him. A very good looking bull as well. Bull in second, you know, just an awesome beef bull. Very rugged, very stout and doable in his kind and his build. I think he can maybe set a little more tone to add a little more set to that hock when planted. He wants to get a little lazy and get a little straighter there, but past that, I think he handles it very well in motion. Just a slicker haired bull that doesn't quite pull his front end together quite as good as the bull in first, but one that I think could run around the countryside and breed cows all day long. Two bulls that round out the class, you know, no particular order. Just to say a few comments, young lady's bull there that's standing in the third hole, one that's long spined and level out of his hip. I think he's powerful, and when you get him behind the cattle, he's probably one of the stoutest at the ground and built the widest on all four corners. Just like to tie it together a little bit smoother in his shoulder and forward. And then the young man's bull that rounds out the class, one that I just like to soften up, add a little more body, but one that's definitely progressing in his maturity. He's got some crest and masculinity to him. You definitely got to like those things about him, but just like to soften him up and add him a little bit more balance compared to them bulls ahead of him. But nice class of bulls.
Your results from Class 14, Lot 32, Diesel, exhibited by Lentz Red Angus of Creston, Iowa, and Lot 33, MSCH Cutter 206K, exhibited by Ryan Mesh Cattle of Eldora, Iowa. Entering the ring, we have Class 15, Lot 31, Lent 235, February 24 of 22, date of birth, exhibited by Lentz Red Angus of Creston, Iowa. Lot 12, GNRA Reckoning 208, with a February 20th of 22 date of birth, exhibited by Griffin Red Angus of New Hampton, Iowa. Lot 11, GNRA Reckoning 204, February 16th of 22 date of birth, exhibited by Griffin Red Angus of New Hampton, Iowa. This is your Class 15.
Another nice class of bulls. I think the fresher haired bull that wins this class, I think he just ties his front end together a little bit more symmetrically. I think he's better in the way he blends that shoulder back into his spine, handles himself the best in terms of his spine and motion, very level and long, and ties it nice and square out of his hip and pin set. Could maybe add a little bit more substance the closer you get to the ground on him. He wants to kind of funnel to his foot a little bit, but past that, very good bull. Bull in second, higher performing bull that's got some frame and size and stretch to him. I love the kind of cattle he represents. That's going to be a big beef bull someday, and I think very heavy structured, relative to our class winner. I think he maintains that size and substance and foot and bone a little better than the class winner all the way to the ground, and I like how much heel he's got under him. He's going to hold up for a long time, and I like the size advantage that he has from a performance standpoint. Then the dark red one that rounds out the class, very smooth made one, a little shorter stepping, a little tighter, but past that, I think that bull's still got enough muscle and dimension. He's probably the most dimensional in the outward curvature he has to his stifle and just quarter, but just like to make him just a little bit smoother in the way he handles himself in motion.
Out of class 15, placing first, lot 31, Lent 235, exhibited by Lentz Red Angus of Creston, Iowa. Second, lot 12, GNRA Reckoning 208, exhibited by Griffin Red Angus of New Hampton, Iowa. Entering the ring, we have class 16, lot 26, KBCC King of Diamonds 104K, with a February 2nd, 22 date of birth, exhibited by Cabela Brothers from West Branch, Iowa. Lot 48, Ulra Tycoon 2242, with a date of birth of February 1st of 22, exhibited by Ulrich Red Angus of Good Thunder, Minnesota. Class 16 in the ring.
Real nice pair of Red Angus bulls as we get into the older bulls. I think the dark red one has some intriguing pieces. He's heavy in the structure. He's rugged in the way he's built out of his front end. Still handles it smooth. You can maybe get picky on him and square him up out of his hip and pin set and add a little more slope to his shoulder. But past that, that bull's packed full of beef and power. Like the shape and honest turn he's got to his rib cage up high. Not the softest bellied one, but one that I think is still balanced from the side, and he's got the right kind of body shape. handles it good in motion. A very good breeding bull that's going to have a lot of turnout value down the road here as we get closer to summer. And the bull here in the second hole, longer spine, little smoother version of the one that wins that class. He too offers the same feature in the way he's built in his shoulder, maybe add a little angle there, but past that, like I said, these bulls can both get out and cover some ground. A very long, powerfully constructed cattle that both have a lot of value from a breeding standpoint. So nice job on those two bulls.
Your results of Class 16, Lot 48, Ulra Tycoon 2242, exhibited by Ulrich Red Angus of Good Thunder, Minnesota. And Lot 26, KBCC, King of Diamonds 104K, exhibited by Cabela Brothers of West Branch, Iowa. Entering the ring, Class 17, Lot 47, Ulra Respect 2237, January 29 of 22, exhibited by Ulrich Red Angus of Good Thunder, Minnesota. Lot 40, SHR One and Only 213K, January 28th of 22, exhibited by Shady Hills Red Angus of Blue Earth, Minnesota. Lot 52, Wangan Ripper 212K, with a January 27 of 22 date of birth, exhibited by Wangan Cattle Company of Ellendale, Minnesota. Lot 17, HCC Hailstorm 224K, January 25 of 22, exhibited by Hine Cattle Company of Osage, Iowa. Lot 51, Wangan Esteem 201K, a January 23rd of 22 born bull, exhibited by Wangan Cattle Company of Ellendale, Minnesota. Currently in the ring, we have Class 17.
All right, tough class to be in. I think you could, if you're a buyer and you're looking for bulls, I think you could close your eyes and point in any direction and find a good one, because top to bottom, they're all really good. And I think, you know, there's some discussion to be had in the top two. I know we don't place any further past that, but good cattle beyond these top two holes. You know, I think for me, the difference is there's two cattle that are very masculine in their kind. I think they both have enough power and dimension, and I think from a composition standpoint, I think they're both fresh in their kind, very progressed in their maturity and their testicular development. I think they're going to be some really good turnout bulls when come breeding season. I think for me, the taller fronted, taller shoulder bull that wins this class is just a little more my type, a little more my flavor in the way he offers a better profile from the side. I just like the way he's built and the posture that he has out of his front shoulder and his head and neck, and the way that projects a little higher and a little cooler in the way that I like him. Neat in his chest and progressively softens back into the center portion of his body in a good fashion. And then I think this bull just offers just a nickel more flexibility as you study his lower structure when you put the cattle in motion. Really good bull in second. One that's probably a nickel smoother in the way he blends that shoulder into his forerib. I think he holds the advantage in terms of his body shape. I think he's just a nickel bolder in the way he's built into his heart and his girth and his forerib, and just ties it, like I said, just a little bit smoother than the bull that wins that class. I think for me, he's probably stronger in the way he operates out of his spine. He's hooked up definitely stronger behind his shoulder blade, built square out of his hip, and I like the way his tail head sets into him. But for me, I think you put the cattle in motion, he's just a nickel more coarse in his hock joint, and that's being aggressive in that term because it's still not bad. I think he just doesn't plant quite as square and big at the surface either as the bull that wins that class. But either way, take your pick. I think both bulls have a lot of breeding value. And like I said, no particular order as we're turning out the rest of this class, but I'll say some comments because I think they deserve it. The bull that's walking out here in the third hole just by chance, very rugged in his foot and bone work. Probably holds one of the best set of feet and legs on him when you put him in motion. I think just ties front end just a little neater for me, add a little more body and soften him up in his center body and just make him a little more balanced, but one that you gotta love the running gear on him and still having enough width and muscle to him to really just add some power into his progeny. The red calf, the darker red one coming up here in the fourth hole, one that's probably just a little rounder out of his hip, but one that's long and level out of his spine and the way he handles it in motion. Calf's probably not as rugged in his foot and bone work as you study his lower structure, but overall that's a good breeding bull that's going to last a long time in any program. And then the coarser haired one that's rounding out the class, just a little more leather. No problem with that. That's a good cattleman's type of breeding bull. A lot of meat and potatoes there. Just basic in his build, functional and loose in his structure. Just doesn't have the bells and whistles as a couple of them bulls on the top end. But overall, really, really nice, deep set of bulls in that class. You're not going to find a bad one to bring home. So congratulations.
Your results from Class 17, both exhibited by Wangan Cattle Company of Ellendale, Minnesota, with first place going to Lot 52, Wangan Ripper, 212K, and second, Lot 51, Wangan Esteem, 201K. Again, both lots were exhibited by Wangan Cattle Company of Ellendale, Minnesota. Entering the ring, we have Class 18, Lot 43, TGC, 647D Kingpin, 11K. January 10th of 22, bull exhibited by Tim Johnson Cattle of Bellevue, Iowa. Lot 28, Jameson 19K. January 9 of 22 bull exhibited by Jackson Clinker of Winnebago, Minnesota. Lot 36, Nolan's Cade K3. January 3rd of 22 bull exhibited by Nolan Red Angus of Monroe, Iowa. And lot 16, HCC Maxed Out 206K. January 2nd of 2022 bull exhibited by Hine Cattle Company of Osage, Iowa.
four nice, good breeding red Angus bulls. I think the darker hided one, darker cherry red one, just really hits you hard to begin with. You know, I think there's a lot of good quality to that bull. He's very rugged in his foot and bone work. I think he's built square at the ground. He handles it good in motion. You know, I think that bull just checks all the boxes in terms of structural quality, and still combining that with enough width, muscle, and balance and look and design from the side to kind of just be a really good universal bull for wherever you want to breed him in terms of just raising big feeder cattle or good pretty replacement heifers. You know, you can maybe say that shoulder's a little bigger, but at the same time, you know, I'm thinking to myself that these are bulls and they need to look like bulls and not flat-shouldered breeding heifers. So I don't mind it. Very masculine, good bull that I think's got a lot of breeding value. So it'd be fun to see him matched up to some of them other class winners. Bull in second, long-spined, very, very long and extended bull. Probably not built as high-tying or attractive in terms of what I think out of his front shoulder, but past that, you know, bull's big at the ground. He's got a lot of heel and a lot of foot size. I think that calf's going to cover a lot of ground and raise some big calves. And the cattle that round out the class, a young man's bull that's just happens to be in the third hole, no particular order, but one that just stands out as probably being the furthest behind in terms of his performance. You know, it might be some maturity. It'd just be a later maturing bull, which isn't all bad. I think he's still masculine in his kind. He's got some muscle shape and breeding value. Dark red bull that rounds out the class, rugged in his foot and bone work. I think that bull's got some quality to him, handles his spine fairly good in motion, just like to maybe rock that shoulder back and add a little more angle on both ends of his skeleton, but really like that bull in the top end of that class, so congratulations.
Your results of Class 18, Lot 43, TJC 647D Kingpin 11K, exhibited by Tim Johnson Cattle of Bellevue, Iowa. Lot 16, HCC Maxed Out 206, exhibited by Hein Cattle Company of Osage, Iowa. Entering the ring, we are preparing to select your champion bull born in 2022. Entering the ring for our 2022 bull, out of Class 11, Lot 25, JTVM Casanova 208K, exhibited by JVM Cattle of Pella, Iowa. Lot 23, JTVM Knight 283, exhibited by JVM Cattle of Pella, Iowa. Out of Class 13, Lot 24, JTVM Knox 281K, exhibited by JVM Cattle of Pella, Iowa. Out of Class 14, Lot 32, Diesel, exhibited by Lentz Red Angus out of Creston, Iowa. Class 15, Lot 31, Lent 235, exhibited by Lentz Red Angus of Creston, Iowa. Class 16, Lot 48, Ulra Tycoon 2242, exhibited by Ulrich Red Angus of Good Thunder, Minnesota. Class 17, Lot 52, Wangan Ripper 212K, exhibited by Wangan Cattle Company of Ellendale, Minnesota. And Class 18, Lot 43, TJC 647D Kingpin 11K, exhibited by Tim Johnson Cattle of Bellevue, Iowa.
Well, before we round out the Red Angus show, I think the bull show and the heifer show has both brought a lot of quality to the table. I think you stand here and look at these bulls, and from the youngest bulls to the oldest bulls, I think they're all very uniform. They all represent the same kind of cattle that have structural quality, have some body and some balance and some performance to them. So good cattle top to bottom. You breeders should be proud, and I hope you can find some good homes after the sale tomorrow. So congratulations. Go ahead and put your hands together for all the breeders and the consigners. They deserve it on a nice lineup of cattle. So I'll pick your champion in reserve, and we'll go from there. So thank you very much for having me out.
Your champion 2022 bull came out of Class 18, Lot 43, exhibited by Tim Johnson Cattle of Bellevue, Iowa, with TJC 647D Kingpin, 11K. Your reserve champion 2022 bull out of Class 17, Lot 52, Wangan Ripper, 212K, exhibited by Wangan Cattle Company of Ellendale, Minnesota. Entering the ring, we will have Class 19, Lot 15, HCC Resource, 176J, with a December 24th of 2021 birth date, exhibited by Hine Cattle Company from Osage, Iowa. Lot 1, BARU Powerhouse, 149J, with an October 2nd of 2021 birth date, exhibited by Barnes Family Cattle from Lamoni, Iowa. And Lot 2, BARU Spartan, 138J, with a September 9th of 2021 date of birth, exhibited by Barnes Family Cattle out of Lamoni, Iowa. In the ring, we have Class 19. The champion of Class 19 will also be your champion fall bull and a reserve champion fall bull. In Class 19, lots 1 and 2 are exhibited by BARU Ranch out of Cottonwood Falls, Kansas.
nice lineup of older fall bulls. I think the one that wins the class, you know, masculine in his kind. He's got muscle shape and dimension when you get in behind the cattle. He's got a lot of outward curvature to his lower rib shape and still dimensional up high. I think study his structure. I think he's just the furthest on point in terms of being built square and flexible and being right in his angles off both ends of his skeleton, and he handles it in motion like he reads, very flexible and loose in his build. Bull in second, long and level out of his hip. Bull's got a lot of extension ahead of his shoulder blade and behind his shoulder blade as well. Maybe soften him up into his rear rib and flank for me, but a bull that's got to have a lot of breeding value for length, because length adds weight, and weight's important. So I think that bull's going to have a lot of breeding value down the road. Then the young lady's bull that rounds out the class, very dimensional. Bull's got a lot of muscle. Just like to see him tie it together just a little smoother for me. Overall, bull's still going to cover ground and breed cows and hold up in any true production setting. So 3 real nice old bulls in this class.
Your champion fall bull goes to lot 1, Bar U Powerhouse 149J, exhibited by Bar U Ranch out of Cottonwood Falls, Kansas. Lot 2, Bar U Spartan 138J, exhibited by Bar U Ranch out of Cottonwood Falls, Kansas. We are now ready to select our overall champion Red Angus bull and overall reserve champion Red Angus bull. Just a reminder, tomorrow sale time is at 2 p.m. in the North Annex of the Iowa State Fairgrounds, or 30 minutes following the main Angus sale. You can watch and bid online at liveauctions.tv. We will have soup in the Red Angus aisles for all of those who wish to grab something to eat before the sale. Again, thank you to Riley Rubel for judging our Red Angus show today.
I'm not going to drag it out any longer. I still think I got my mind made up and like 2 bulls pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and keep the Grand Bull and the Reserve Bull together. Congratulations, guys, on an awesome show.
Your overall champion Red Angus bull is lot 43, TGC 647D Kingpin 11K, exhibited by Tim Johnson Cattle out of Bellevue, Iowa. Your reserve overall champion Red Angus bull goes to Bar U Powerhouse. Lot 1, exhibited by Bar U Ranch, Cottonwood Falls, Kansas. Again, thank you all, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the Red Angus Classic, 47th Annual.
At this time, we would like to welcome everyone to the 2023 Iowa Beef Expo AOB show. Class 1 is about to come in the ring.